Hello and welcome to this video on writing an algebraic expression for total cost. Alright, so this is first looked at in year 8, but it's important to know in maths up until year 12. So Eva buys 6 plants from a nursery. If the cost is X dollars for each plant, write an expression for the total cost in dollars. Alright, so 6 plants at some number dollars for each plant. You're going to times them, right? Total cost is 6 times X. 6 times the number of dollars. So we just write that as 6X because in algebra we don't write that multiply sign next to the variable. Now let's check out the next one underneath here. Okay. If the cost of each plant is decreased by $3 during a sale, write an expression for the new cost per plant in dollars. So this is the current cost per plant. Cost per plant, cost for each plant. All right, same thing. So if the cost of each plant is decreased by $3, so currently it's X. If we're decreasing it by 3, right, it's currently X and we're decreasing it by 3. That means subtracting 3. So this is the new cost per plant. Hopefully that makes sense. Now what have they got for us next? Let's just get rid of that. The new total cost in dollars of the 6 plants. Okay. Our current formula for total cost is 6X. All right, 6 times the cost per plant. So the new cost equals 6 times the cost per plant. And our new cost per plant is X take 3. So we're going to substitute that in, but you need to include it with brackets. That's the key. I see a lot of students just write that, but that's not quite right because that $6 is being times by the entire new price. So it needs brackets. And then again, in algebra, we don't write that multiply sign. So this is the expression for the new cost per plant. Remember the brackets. All right, let's get some more practice. Okay. So cookies cost C dollars each at a shop. Ben buys 2 cookies, Melissa buys 7 cookies, and Kate buys 4 cookies. Write a simplified expression for the total amount spent on cookies. All right, total amount spent in dollars. Oops. The total amount spent in dollars. So cookies cost C dollars each. So when we're calculating cost, you're always doing the number times the cost per unit. So in other words, so Ben buys 2 cookies. So he is going to be spending 2 times the cost per cookie. That's the total that Ben will spend. And then we've got Melissa. She buys 7 cookies at C dollars per cookie. So we're just going to add that on. 7 times C. And then we've got Kate who buys 4 cookies. Well, hers is going to be 4 cookies times the cost per cookie. The word cookie sounds funny after saying it a lot. All right, total amount spent. Now let's write it like this because we know that we don't write the multiply signs next to the variables. So I'm just going to rewrite it like that. And it says, we're just going to check we've answered the question. Write a simplified expression for the total amount spent on cookies. Simplified means as simple as possible. So we are adding some algebraic terms here, which means let's look for like terms. And you will see that they are all like terms. Right? This is C, C, and C, so we can add those numbers in front. So 7 and 2 is 9, plus 1 is 10, plus 3 will give me 13, if you break up that 4. So ours expression for the total amount spent is 13C. Okay, get rid of that. Whoop. On another occasion, Steph buys N cookies. Georgia buys twice as many as Steph. So sometimes it helps to underline the problem. So Steph buys N cookies. Georgia buys twice as many as Steph. Oh, let's make that a bit straighter. Elise buys 3 times as many as Georgia. Write a simplified expression for the total amount spent on cookies. All right. So Steph, let's just write them down. So we need another expression for total amounts spent. Steph, how much would she spend? All right, let's just first work out how much each person buys. So Steph buys N cookies. Georgia, let's actually just call them S, G, and E. Georgia buys twice as many as Steph. So if Steph buys N and Georgia buys twice as many, we're going to be 2 times N, because twice or double means times 2. So that's Georgia's. Elise buys 3 times as many as Georgia's. 3 times as many as Georgia's. See how Georgia's was 2N? So 3 times hers. And let's make them a bit simpler. So N is just N. 2 times N is 2N, right? We don't write it with that multiply sign. And 3 times 2N, multiply those coefficients. We get 6N. Now, it is saying, write a simplified expression for the total amount spent on cookies. So the total amount spent is always going to be the number of whatever it is times the cost per unit. All right, so let's check it out. Let's first work out, well, how many cookies in terms of N were bought altogether. All right, so the total cookies will be whatever Steph buys, Georgia, and Elise buys. So we're going to add up all these. N plus 2N plus 6N. Let's give ourselves a bit more space. N plus 2N plus 6N. And there's an invisible 1 there. And we can collect like terms, right? So 1 plus 2 is 3 plus 6 is 9. So that's the total number of cookies. Total number. Now, we know that the cookies cost C dollars each. So we are going to, the total cost is the amount, the number of cookies bought, right, which is 9N, times the cost per cookie. And that will leave you with dollars. All right, so this one is 9NC. Let's check out this. Make it a bit simpler for ourselves by just getting one of these. So last question, I believe. Yes. So the number of boys in an art class is B and the number of girls is G. Each boy has 5 paintbrushes and each girl has 4 paintbrushes. Write an expression for the total number of brushes in the class. The total number. All right. So we have number of boys is B, number of girls, G. Boy has 5, each girl has 4. All right, the total number is going to be, so 5 for each boy, so 5 times the number of boys, 5 paintbrushes per boy, and we have 4 paintbrushes per girl. So now we've got 2 variables in here. So that is, and we can't actually simplify that any further, right? Because it's 2 different variables. They're not like terms. So that's all we can write for the total number of brushes in the class. All right, so 5 for one boy. And then if there was 2 boys, there would be 10 brushes altogether. You can test out some numbers there. If the brushes cost $6 each, write an expression for the total cost of all the brushes in the glass. Total cost. The total cost is going to be the cost of one, which is 6. The cost of one brush is 6. And then you're doing, so I'm just going to write that underneath actually, cost of 1 times number of people. And we actually have an expression for the number of people. So 5b plus 4g. All right. And let's make sure that that 6 doesn't look like a G. Let's check out this. Now, if there are 8 boys and 10 girls in the class, what is the total cost for all the paintbrushes in the class? So you've got to work out, am I using this expression or am I using this expression in part B? We're using the total cost. All right, so let's use it. Total cost equals 6. And we're just substituting in, right? So this is saying that B is 8 and G is 10. So I'm substituting into this expression here. So we've got 6, 5 times B, which is 8, plus 4 times G, which we said G was 10. And now we can actually churn out a number. All right, so lots of operations here. So that says bid mass, whatever's in the brackets first. So apply bid mass to inside the brackets. So that is multiplication first from left to right, 5 8s are 40. Simplify as many lines as you need to. 6 times 80. And 6 8s are 48, 480, and check your units, which was $480 in total. Okay, so I will say, just remember your brackets here. That $6 each is being applied to both numbers. All right, now let's just check I had the units down here. Yeah, that's all good. All right. And in the next video, we're going to look at more applications of algebraic expressions, writing an algebraic expression for perimeter. Okay, I'll see you then.